Good morning, YouTube. We got a surprise for you today's video. Let's turn around and look at the cool new thing I found. Yep, we got babies. Oh, and I'm gonna drop you. So we got 5 new ones. Just showed up about 4 days ago, maybe 5. So we're gonna get them weaned and get them to the shelter unless we can get them adopted out. This is why I haven't been working on the S10 or the 53. I'm putting in a new walkway out front. Gotta get that done. I had 5 yards of gravel here yesterday. So I got part of it moved the other day. And as you can see by all the drain everywhere, the backyard's getting ready to get redone finally. I got 300 foot of new drain to put in. This is going to be the base for, once I dig that up, this is going to be the base for the new she shed. It's going to be 16 by 16. You can see the yellow posts on the corners. That's going to be actually the outline of where the building goes. But we're going to put a gravel base under it, and then it's going to have a 2-foot deck, or I'm sorry, a 4-foot deck on the front. So that's why the gravel is going to extend out to front here. So this was the leftover from out front that I moved yesterday. Oh, there's the geese. They're noisy. So anyway, so yeah, this is what we're going to be working on next couple weeks. Getting this done. We had the backyard bash last weekend, I guess it was, with the RC stuff, where we decided to tear this up. And it was a ball. We had a lot of fun. So, but now it's time to get to work. So I've got 53s hiding on the trailer. It's going to be sitting there for a while. Of course, we got gravel there. That's all going to get used. We got more drains to tie into. Underneath that gravel over there is already existing drain. And we're basically going to drain the entire property because this is clay, and that property up there drains into ours every time it rains. And I can't build a shed on a swamp, so this is what I'm going to be busy with the next couple weeks, getting this site work done, and then we're going to start construction. Right, so anyway, so back here, of course, I got the John Deere sitting out, the Ford sitting out. The S10, as you notice, is missing its bed because it is in the garage. I normally, when I lift the bed off of this, of course, S10s have these little hooks in the corners, so I just cross a set of straps, corner to corner, and use the cherry picker and lift it up. And there's a tail panel underneath. You can't really see it, but it's underneath the back, right there below where the tailgate attaches. And that was so weak that it actually broke and folded in. This side of the bed folded in. So I'm going to have to do some body work on the bottom of the bed to get it realigned and put a spreader in it and get it lined back up. But yeah, we're going to have to do some reconstruction. I'll show you. It's very wobbly on these wheels, so I have to be really careful moving it around. And of course it's going to hook on my MDF like it's not supposed to. Get off of it. Hang on, people. Let's get this organized. Get out. Okay, so you don't notice it, but underneath your truck is where the elements go. And living in Indiana, this is what happens to the bottom of your truck. This has been on here untouched for about the last 6-7 years. No, longer now. I had the bed off in 18, and last time the bed was off. But the rails are getting bad. You can see we got definite rottage. So these are going to get cut out. I'm going to fab new ones. We're going to clean the bottom of this bed all up, get rid of all this garbage, redo this back rail. This is where it actually broke, up in this corner right here. It's split right where that weak spot is. You can kind of see it. But yeah, so that's all got to get rebuilt. So, and that's fine because behind my MDF for my new speaker boxes, this is a 4x8 sheet of 18 gauge. It's hiding, but it's there. So we're going to use that. We're going to fab some stuff. We got the plasma. We can cut. We can weld. So yeah, see, we got some inner issues here we're going to have to address. Of course, the original paint's all peeling. So we're going to give it a good going over. We're going to strip it. I may even send it out and have it sandblasted. I haven't decided yet. And then, because these beds are getting hard to find. I had thrown some patches at it way back, and I mean, they're really crude. But they're still, I mean, you can see on the outside, they're just now starting to come through. But we did this in such a hurry, because I just want to get this on the road. So this needs all cut out and these patches redone. So I'll do that. It's actually not bad. I mean, there are some spots that are kind of sketch. But for the most part, I mean, this is the inside of the lower part where they always go to crap. And of course, this just has to come out altogether. This whole rail is just garbage. And that's a mounting rail, so of course that has to be fixed. So we'll get all that done. We're probably going to shave the gas filler door because, well, you know, fuel cell. So don't need that. But yeah, it's on the chopping block. So we're going to start on him probably today or tomorrow. So, of course, I've got weed and feed and stuff to put on the lawn. And this is some of the connecting pipe stuff for the pipes. And, of course, you know, I'm like, I haven't flown in a couple years. So I'm like, I need to get something to fly. So I get on Amazon and I order this little crescendo. It's crescendo, crescendo, I don't know, however you pronounce it. So anyway, I'm all excited. I get it and take it out of the box, and there's one thing from this picture that is missing. I'll give you a hint. It's that. There's no frickin' propeller on it. The prop shaft is broken. So it's obviously a return. Somebody sent back to Amazon, and Amazon just shipped it back out. So I get it with no prop shaft. And the front end's been damaged. So I'm like, nope, that ain't gonna fly. So it's got to go back. I had to do a return. So much for flying this weekend. But I did get the garage kind of straightened around. There are shelves behind the wire rack that I built. And we got most everything where I can either move it around or work around it really easily. The lumber for the shed's all dug out, easily accessible. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is. But I'm going to pause you for a second, put you on the tripod. Okay, so I got you on the tripod. So I want to go over a couple of things before we really tear into this, into this new video. I know it's been a hot minute since we've done any real work, and so we've had a lot of rain, and I haven't been able to do anything outside I wanted to do. I had to get this garage straightened around. That took some time because I can only work a little bit at a time, and then I'm just done. Run out of energy, and my back's killing me. I'm supposed to get a morphine pump implanted. We're waiting on an MRI that the VA has taken 6, ungodly times longer than it should to get scheduled. But I have time to kill while it's raining outside and doing everything else. So I'm like, I'm going to watch videos on YouTube. And and don't get me wrong, there are a million ways to do things. There are quick, easy fixes to do things. There are more elaborate, professional, we'll say, for lack of a better term, ways to do things. But I've seen a trend, and it's disturbing because I think it's deceptive. And I'm real big on, if you're going to do something, if you're not going to do it right, and you can't afford to do it right, or you don't have the means, or whatever, okay, that's fine. But don't pass off hack work as professional. And I'll give you an example. So if you go on YouTube and you type in the algorithm search box, car painting videos, body shop, whatever. So I'm not one to call people out. I mean, everybody wants to do their own thing, that's fine. But there's one guy in particular that really gets under my skin. And it's not because of what he does so much. It's the way he markets himself and the way he just bullshits everybody. And he gaslights actual body shops and actual painters. And this is what gets under my skin. So, like I said, I'm not going to call the guy out directly, but he was out of Texas. He basically paints in a shed. No lighting, no filters, no mask, no fresh air system. I mean, everything you could do wrong physically to yourself while you're painting a car, he does. You know, no way to keep from breathing all the vapors, and he's spraying 2K paint, so it does have isocyanates, and they are deadly. They will kill your liver. They will kill your lungs. You need, at a minimum, a good respirator. Now this guy's just spraying away in this old shed. Looks like those pre-made sheds you get. I don't know how you can get a car in it, but this guy's in there trying to work around painting these cars. And he advertises he can paint this car. He can paint any car for like $700, $600, whatever, $500. Well, here's my problem with it. He calls out everybody that has called him out as using cheap material and cheap paint, because if you've painted anything, or if you've even priced paint, the cheapest I can even find stuff, and this is base coat, clear coat, you're around $150 for 5 quarts. You get a gallon of paint and a quart of activator for your base coat, and so you'll mix those together, you'll spray it. Clears, cheap clears are $100 a gallon. Decent clears, I did an Impala, did a 64 Impala 6, let's see, I did 19, so it'll be 7 years this August since I did it. Back then, the base coat was $700 a gallon, and the clear was around, I want to say around the same price, roughly. It was Sherwin-Williams. There was a 94 Volvo color. The customer wanted it. And I did a couple things that, that everybody on the internet says you can't do. I painted the car all blown apart, and I did it in separate stages. Because it's so big, you can't reach over the roof to do the roof and then do the doors and do it all in one shot and then go back on the second coat, especially with clear, and do the roof again, because you're going to be leaning on the side of the car. There's just no way around it. I'm 5'10", and I've got a good arm reach, but there's no way I could do it without getting into the paint. So I did the roof. We taped off the rest of the car. We had it all in epoxy. It was all prepped. And we painted the roof and cured it out and cleared it and then taped it off. Did the rest of the car and then cut it, buffed it, put it back together. And the car's actually it was featured in the indoor car show in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Ride and Custom show. It's in the entry video twice. I think it turned out really decent. The car's been to several shows. I think it's gotten a couple of awards. But we had, and now granted we did jams, and we did the inside and out of the hood, inside and out of the trunk. We did everything. Doors inside and out, the dash, firewall. But we had probably 3 gallon of color on it, and then a good 2.5, 3 gallon of clear by the time you cut it and everything. So there was probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 of materials. Okay. Not the top of the line, but decent, good stuff. So for this guy to say, oh, that's bullshit, these people, you don't need, how now can you charge $5,000 for a paint job? Well, if I had charged this guy actual labor rate, but he was a friend, I kind of did it as a favor, I'd have billed him 20 grand easily for the job, because there was a lot of detail work involved, a lot of taping. And it was just a single color. It wasn't like I did graphics on it. But this guy's like, oh, they're just ripping you off, charging $5 grand for paint. I can paint a car for $700. Okay, maybe you can. Maybe you're buying bottom barrel, the just most shit paint you can buy. Okay, that's great. But what you're not telling your customers that these $500 jobs, these $700 jobs, that's including labor, that's materials and labor. How long is that material going to last? Because I know for a fact, cheap clears, and I live in Indiana, so if you go to Florida, which I painted in Florida for 30 years, the UV rays of the sun down there will destroy clear in a season, easily. Silver cars, have you ever noticed the silver car in Florida that's been sitting out for any length of time? There is no silver on the top of it or on the hood. It's completely down to bare metal, and the metal's patinaed because the UV rays of the sun destroyed the clear. With no clear, there was nothing to protect the base coat. and the base coat went away. Now you got primer, now you got bare metal, and now it just looks like crap. So if you're going to use cheap clear, and this guy's in Texas, so Texas sun is going to be the same as Florida sun. You're closer to the equator, you get a more direct, UV hit. That clears. If you're buying base clear at that kind of whatever price you're paying, probably $100 for a complete kit, or if it's single stage, unless you're making only $10 an hour labor to paint these things, you're using shit paint. That stuff's not going to hold up, and you're not telling your customer that, hey, this is a 1-year paint job or maybe 2, And if you try and call the guy out, he's going to be like, oh, that's bullshit. You're just overpaying. Well, I'm going to show you something real quick because we're getting ready to repaint the shit box, and it was a $500 truck. We were going to LS swap it and just go have fun with it. Go no prep or go grudge or whatever with it. So it was like I put it in black epoxy primer, SPI, good stuff, and I was just going to leave it. And all my buddies were like, you need to fucking paint it. It looks like shit. You need to paint it. You're a painter, paint your truck. So I'm like, fine. So buddy of mine, New Year's Day, it was like, I don't know, 20 degrees outside. We put it in his shop and painted it. But I had done the bumper, the cowl, and a couple of little pieces here in my garage like a week earlier. Now, my garage was heated at the time with a propane salamander. It was 72 degrees when I sprayed, and I used the same gallon of color to paint the rest of the truck over at Phil's shop. I'll show you the difference in humidity with cheap paint, what it does, and it's the same. Red's hard to really match anyway, but I'll show you what happens even if humidity is off a little bit or temperature's off a little bit. I'll show you the difference. But what I really want to show you is what cheap clear does, because I had some leftover shit just from a hack job that a guy wanted something done cheap, and we did it cheap, but I had a little bit of the clear left over, and I thought, well, I'm going to use it just for these little parts because this is not a show truck. It was never designed to be a show truck. So I did the wiper cowl and the front bumper. What else did I do? I don't know, a couple of little pieces. Oh, the valance between the grill and the bumper. I'll show you that. And I did those in the cheap clear. Well, then I had SPI because I ran out, and I was like, I'm going to go buy some SPI, which is all the clear I'll use. Phenomenal warranty on this stuff. It's great. Year one, if you've ever restored a car, year one's one of the biggest vendors of parts for Novas, Chevelles, you name it, Camaros, old cars. Their catalog, the cars they feature in their catalog are all painted with SPI. That's, they trust it that well. And it's incredible stuff. It sprays nice, it buffs nice, it's durable as hell. So we're going to walk out and I'm going to show you on the S10 what the difference does. Now this car, I painted this S10 it was right before COVID, so it had to have been 20, maybe early 21. I don't know. I got to think. But anyway, I'll say it's 5 years old. And it got, everything got, I think, one good coat. It got 2 coats of clear. I had to stop and think. It got the hood, the roof, the rest of the cab, the bed, everything got 2 coats of clear. I cut and buffed 1 coat out of it easily. Just knocking down, trash and orange peel and stuff. And I kind of half-ass buffed it. Actually, I wool padded some of it. I didn't even buff it. I just wool padded it. Take sanding scratches out because I think I just went straight to like 1200 wet. And the wife and I spent like a half an afternoon. Kind of went around the truck real quick, 1200 it, and then I just grabbed the wool pad and cutting cream and buffed it real quick and left it because it was in one color. I didn't care. But let's walk out here. I want to show you what this clear does. Okay, so this is the hood. I gotta mess with the tripod. Give me just a second here. Okay, so let's show you a couple little things here. So hang on. I gotta fix things. Okay, let's try this again. Alright, so this is sitting out in the sun. This is really, really old. So the cheap clear, if you look on the bumper and this little valance, the reds don't quite match, but you can see that it's starting to get really thin because I didn't put much on it. The hood and the fender. Now this is actually held up pretty decent for, it sits out year round. It's been in the salt, the snow, all the Indiana garbage weather. This is the SPI, and there's only like probably 1 or 2 mils of it on there. So it's finally starting to, wear through. You can see there's a couple spots. I'm like, okay, no big deal. It's all coming off anyway. But you can see where it didn't, where I didn't actually get it so thin. I mean, it's still got a decent reflection in it. But here, look at the cowl. This is, you can hear this. You can hear this. So this is a cheap clear. If you, my tripod thing's in the way. Let me see if I can move this. If you look at this close enough, it's actually like crystallized. I mean, there's no clear left. It's so rough. There's literally, it's gone. And you look at the panel right next to it, which is filthy dirty. But if you look at this, you look at this, okay, look at the door. This is all the SPI. This stuff is holding up incredibly well. They've been out in the weather the same amount of time, okay? Nothing's different there. I mean, if you look at the A-pillars, you look at the roof. Now, the roof is filthy dirty. Granted, I haven't washed this truck in a million years. And there's orange peel in it and everything else. But, I mean, just look at what the cheap clear... Look at what the cheap clear has done from being out in the UV. This is where my awning took off one day at a activity in the backyard. We were working outside and had the tent set up over it, and the tent took off in the wind and made a big nasty scratch. But if you look, this is all, I mean, this is 5, 6, 7-year-old SPI, and it's it's holding up. I mean, it's still there. Like I said, this was a really, really fast, dirty paint job just to get some color on it. But this is what cheap clear is like. So if you're the guy painting the whole car for $700, you're probably using some kind of cheap shit like that. So, I mean, how long do you think that's going to last in Texas in the sun? If you look at, well, you can't really tell it, I guess, because I got primer all over it and everything else. I started farting around with this a little bit because I welded all these little holes shut on the snaps. And now they got to be stripped and body worked. But, I mean, this is really, really old paint. And it was really not done well in the first place. I was just in a hurry. I wanted it done. I was tired of people giving me grief over it. So, that's been on there all this time. Out in the sun, out in the wind, out in the weather, everything else. Let's flip you around. So, that's, that's cheap. That's cheap materials. That's what it does. It just turns into garbage in a short time. So, you look behind me on the toolbox right there and there. That is Summit's 2K primer. And this is not going to be a concourse show truck. It's going to look decent. But, again, it's a beater. It's not my favorite thing in the world. The 53 is going to get a little bit more love than this thing does as far as paint. But I originally was just going to leave it patina, but I think I'm actually going to finish it and paint it. But what I really want to do is I want to go to Real Deal Steel in Orlando and buy a brand new 57 210 Chevy. Let's try that again. 57 Chevy 210 sedan body. They make them. You can buy a race weight body with no floors in it for, I don't know, 10 or 11 grand, something like that. And I'll put a tube chassis under it. Throw my 427 big block in it with a pair of twins or a blower. That'll be my end game car. That'll be the last thing I ever build. But since this thing needs paint anyway, the bodywork's starting to go to shit on it because it just gets abused. I thought, well, take this summer, get this squared up, straightened around, make it look decent. Decent, not great, just decent. But that primer behind me was $150 from Summit. And I've read and heard different things. And I know Summit supposedly will tell you if you ask them. My belief is it's rebranded Kirker, which Kirker is out of New York State. Kirker is what's on the truck now. The red and the black on my S10 are Kirker. It was, the Viper Red was $110 a gallon or $107 a gallon. For red, that's ridiculously cheap. a good, if you go to Axalta, which is DuPont now, they've rebranded as Axalta, parent company. A good chroma base red, probably in that same shade ish, you're probably going to be around 500-600 a gallon for red. So at $100 a gallon, I'm like, you know what? It's red. Throw it, send it, whatever. It's good. So cheap red, cheap clear, part of it. But even the cheap stuff, I've got probably a gallon in the whole truck. So you've got, if I did the whole truck in cheap clear, which SPI is over 300 a gallon. You do the whole truck in the Kirker clear with the Kirker paint, you're going to have, even if you don't do jams or anything, which I did not do jams or under the hood or any of that, the bed was Rhino line, so I didn't touch it inside, just outside of everything. I've got about a gallon of color in it because I did the back of the cab and the front of the bed. The truck was red originally, but it was a different red and it was really crappy. So I thought, well, I got the bed off anyway, I'll do it. So you've got, we'll call it a gallon of color with the activator. So that makes 5 quarts. So 5 quarts of color, you're $150. And then about the same for the clear, for their cheap clear, universal, I think they call it. So you're at $300 in materials for really cheap stuff. It's not horrible. I mean, the clear, obviously the clear's cheap because you can see what it did on that cowl. But you've got $300 in material and you're doing a $700 paint job. So number one, you're not making much on labor. And two, you already see what that clear is going to do in the sun. How long is that paint job going to last? You know, are you telling guys that, look, this will look great for a year? And, you know, because I have done cheap jobs for neighbors that had, I had a neighbor across the street, had an old Nova, 74 Nova. The guy was on fixed income, didn't have 2 nickels to rub together hardly. The time he paid his house payment and everything, he was broke. But he had this Nova and he daily drove it. It really, really needed paint. And I said, look, I will get you lined up with some cheap paint. It was a blue, so it was low end spectrum price-wise. And I painted it and cleared it in his garage, and it looked good. But I told him, I said straight up, I said, this clear is only going to last you probably 2 years on the Florida sun because we live down at Edgewater. I don't care. I just want it painted. Okay. 2 years. The clear looked like my cow. It was gone. And I'm like, you're going to have to reshoot it. You know, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. If you're good with it, I'm good with it. I don't care. You know, I think I charged him $100, you know, just being a neighbor. But use cheap material, you're going to get cheap results. And this guy is just, I don't know why he gets under my skin, but he calls out everybody, oh, you're bullshit. You don't know anything about painting. If you're telling people it's $5,000 to paint a car, or it's, you know, dude, you're fucking people. You're ripping people off. You're buying shit products. Yeah, you ain't charging them much, but they're not getting much. And they probably don't know that stuff's not going to last. So they're probably a year from now are going to be like, what happened to my paint? Where'd it go? You know? And the guy's prep, I mean, I grew up, I mean, I'm going to be 60 this year. So I remember Earl Scheib. I remember Mako. And Mako's thing was like $2.99. We'll paint your car. Earl Scheib was like, I don't know, $100 or something. But they'd literally paint like tires and glass and everything. If you didn't pay extra to get it masked off, Mako would just basically DA the car real quick and throw color at it. And if you were going to flip a car and send it to the auction, okay, you know, it looked good for a month, you know, long enough to get rid of it. But if you paint a car and the only thing you do to it is DA sand the old paint, that thing, when you put color on it, it's going to look like dog shit. Because all you're going to see is the body just doing this. Everywhere you run that DA, it's not flat, it's not straight, it's just, I mean, it's going to look like a freaking roller coaster. And, you know, the guy spends probably an hour with the DA and then runs it in his little shed and blows his cheap ass paint on it and calls it, and he takes photos of it from like 20 feet away. You know, look how beautiful these paint jobs are. Dude, you're making painters look bad because people are going to see your shit work in person, and they're going to think that's what everybody does. You know, if you've ever seen something that come out of Dave Kindig's shop, if you've ever seen anything come out of Mark Warman's shop, those guys are. I mean, it used to be guys like Scott Sullivan. You know, back in the '80s and '90s. In fact, Scott's still doing stuff, but Al Martinez in SoCal in the '80s. You know, those guys could paint. You know, uh, anything that John did, House of Color, you know, anything John sprayed. I've watched him spray in person. I've been to his school. He can spray blindfolded, and his shit looks better than mine. I mean, the dude's an artist, and you see their work, and you're like, that's paint work. You know, these guys are not just DA sanding something and spraying it. I mean, I know guys that will paint something black as the final step. They'll paint it black. And then you can sight down the side of it. And if it ain't straight, you're going to see it. Black shows everything. So if you got a ripple, the black's going to show it. So they'll paint the car black, and then they'll block it all out again and then put the final color over it. And I've done that. It makes for a dead nut straight panel. And you can do it with guide coat. If you look here, right there on top of that can, that is guide coat. And that's, after I scuff all the surface flash off this bed, that's the first thing I'm going to do to it is I'm going to scuff the whole bed. Then I'm going to guide coat it. And then I'm going to guide coat it and sand it all. Up on my thing, I just bought a new 2-foot Durablock. So you can really, the longer your blocks are, the better you can get a finish because you're not getting all this wavy bullshit. You try and use a little sanding block this big and sand a whole bed 6 foot long, it's going to wave at you because you can't sand it evenly. So you get a big block, like a big Durablock, and there's a lot of brands on the market now. I've used Durablock for 20 years and I like them. So you get a big block, you block everything out real good with the guide coat. Now you got a starting point. So now you can see what needs worked, either metal work or, skim coat filler. And I mean skim, not, 3/4 of a fucking inch of Bondo. I'm talking about, 16th tops. If you need an 1/8 inch of filler in something, then you need to do metal work. The metal's not close enough. You can't just slather in, Bondo by the gallon. Yes, I have a gallon of it sitting up there, but I've had that. It's probably not even any good. I've had it so long. It's probably 6 years old. But I knew if I bought a big quantity of it, I could do a million different projects with it. A little bit. My entire roof of my S10 is going to get skim coated because it needs PDR, and I don't want to PDR it because it's a pain to get to because of the 2 layers. But we had a hailstorm, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and the roof is just pelted. So I can skim coat it because they're maybe a 16th thick. They're little tiny dents. But when I'm right at eye level of it looking across it, you can see it. So I'll skim it and then I'll block it with that 2-foot block. And it'll fill everything, but there is not going to be, this much filler in it. It's going to be, maybe a 16th. Maybe. Not much. The same with the bed. The bed sides where I welded up all the holes, the top of the rails to straighten them out, all that is going to be really, really thin. So, there goes the siren. So anyway, that's my rant. Just know that if you have a project car and you just want it done in one color and you want to drive it and have fun with it, cruise, race, whatever, that's fine. Throw cheap paint at it, and go have fun. You can do, I'm probably, because of the colors I'm going to use on this, the red that I'm reusing, which is only going to be the top half of the truck, actually the top third of the truck's going to be red. I'm using a new Mazda coat. It's 46V. It's called Soul Crystal Red Metallic. And if you've ever seen a brand new Mazda, I think it's on a Mazda 6. Oh my God, this is the most eye-popping red I've ever seen. It's a candy. I think it's around $4.50 a gallon ish, but I'm only going to use probably a quart of it, maybe a quart and a half. So that I'm not so worried about the price, but oh my God, is it pretty? So that's going to be the red on mine, and I am going to do jams, and I'm going to do the inside of the doors this round. The hood's going away because I got to put a cowl hood on it now because we're changing LS intakes. to a taller one with the turbos, so that hood, the flat hood's not going to work. So hood's getting replaced anyway. I haven't decided if I'm going to put steel or glass on it. Probably glass. But anyway, yeah. If you want to do something cheap, use cheap paint. What I will tell you, and I learned this putting carpet in my house years ago. You could use cheap carpet in your house, but if you use the cheap padding that comes with it, because it used to be, you buy the carpet, you get free padding. Well, the free padding is garbage, and it doesn't last. And after about a year, it breaks down, and then your carpet, when you walk on it, it's not soft anymore because the padding's junk. So the trick I learned was you can buy cheap carpet, but put good padding under it, and it'll feel soft. It'll walk nice for a long time, and it works really well. So I'm kind of the same way with color. You can use a cheap color, but you have to put a good clear over to protect it, because that's all clear does. Yes, it gives it shine, but it also protects the color, number one, from UV rays of the sun, which will fade it, especially red. Red turns pink, silver goes away, black turns chalky, like chalkboard flat black, So you need a good clear. It protects from scratches. It protects from UV rays, all that. So you don't have to get super high dollar clear, but get decent clear, And if you don't know what's a good clear, get on the forums and talk to people, or go to the manufacturers and ask them, how does this hold up? Show me examples of how your clear holds up in, southern climates. Or if you're like me, I live in the Rust Belt. If I'm going to have this thing out in the winter, which I won't anymore, but I used to because I just didn't care. If it's going to be exposed to snow and salt, especially, how well is it going to hold up? You need to know these things, because if you put all the effort into body work and you buy a decent paint and you get it all looking pretty, if it doesn't last a year and you got to do it again, what was the point? Now you got a friggin' mess you got to redo, and that sucks. So, that's I guess it's not really your lesson of the day, but it's my rant of, if you're going to advertise doing cheap work, there needs to be a disclaimer that the products are not going to last. They're not going to hold up. They're cheap. So the average consumer has no idea the difference between a good clear, a cheap clear, a good paint, a cheap paint. You need to inform them if you're going to do that shit. Don't sell something that's, you tout as being this great product and it's garbage and it ain't going to last. Yeah, you send them down the road and they're happy for 30 days, In 6 months, when it looks like shit again, they're either going to come back and raise hell with you, or, the people that are paying $700 for a paint job obviously don't have a lot of disposable income for paint jobs anyway. So if they're gonna kick out their whole tax return in April to get a paint job on their car, they're gonna want it to last more than 6 months or a year. They spent good, to them, that's really good money. That's the same as, a car guy spending 20 or 30,000 on paint. It's the equivalent. And I have guys I know that have spent 20, 25, 30,000, and the car ended up in paint jail. It never got done. They had to get it back. That shit makes painters look bad. I had a friend that his car was in paint jail forever. I offered to paint it for free. And he decided he was going to try it. So he got on the internet, did a bunch of research, did it himself. It actually looks good. He did a really good job on it. Shout out, Todd. It looks great. And it's a drag and drive car he's done. And the color looks good. The finish looks good. But he decided he was going to do it himself. And he had the place to do it. He had the equipment. A lot of people don't. They live in an apartment or whatever. So they rely on, somebody that can do the job inexpensive. But inexpensive needs to come with a disclaimer that it's not durable. It's that simple. You can use $100 a gallon paint, but if you want it to last more than 2 years, you better put good clear over it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to use good clear, and I'm going to put it over decent paint. I don't have a local DuPont dealer anymore, and DuPont, to me, their prices have gone through the roof. So I'm looking at places like Spray Source. I'm looking at Tropical Glitz, different. And this guy's called them out, I don't know how many times. And I'm like, dude, you just can't afford their paint. That's the only reason you don't like them, is you can't afford their stuff. They make some incredible colors. Tammy's really got her act together with that place. Tropical Glitz has a really, really nice color palettes, and their stuff pops. Their clear, I've heard, is like butter. It buffs nice. It sprays good. So I'm seriously looking at them for colors. The S10 is going to be a tri-color deal this time. It's going to have graphics, different graphics. I didn't like what I did this time. It was just quick and dirty. But yeah, if you want something really good, throw some good stuff at it, and the results are going to show it. Like I said, when I did Todd's Impala, we had $700 a gallon base coat on it, and I think the clear was about the same. It was close. Sherwin-Williams. I have the tech sheets, but I don't even remember what line it is. Their paint. They have different lines, like everybody does. But man, that stuff sprayed nice. I mean, I had the front end off the car. We sprayed, the deck lid was off, the hood was off, the fenders were off. I had everything blown apart so I could get around it. And everybody's like, oh, you can't do that. Well, it turned out phenomenal because I've been doing this for 40 plus years. You learn things doing it that long. So this is going to be just follow along. It's going to be, kind of a fun over the summer thing. I still got the shed to get built. I got a lot of landscaping to do. We're still remodeling the house. It's like a third done. So it's going to be a couple hours here and there a day, but I'm committed to getting it done. So once the color's on it and that's all done, then I can still drive it. I got to put brake lines on it, but I have an engine. I have a new 5.3 on the stand that I'm going to go through real quick. Cam swap and a couple other things, and then that's going in with twins. So, but the main thing now is I got to get the bodywork straightened up and get it in color, because if I let it go another year, the bodywork's going to get way worse, and it's going to be a bigger job. So I want to get under it now, get it done. So that's where I'm at. But anyway, update video. I know this is running long, and I've babbled about this paint shit, but I feel like some of the people that subscribe to this channel, I've got like 80 some subscribers now. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. I know I'm not putting out a lot of content lately. I've had a lot of stuff going on at home with my health, blah, blah, blah. But when I do try to do stuff, I want it to be where it's educational and it's as factual and honest and straightforward as you can get, because there's a lot of people surfing the internet looking for knowledge. That's half the reason YouTube exists. If my dryer screws up, I'm going on YouTube to figure out how to fix it. And that kind of shit works. I've done it with a lot of things. And this is no different. Paint body is no different. This truck makes a good project to do a series on, because it's older paint, it's got bodywork issues, it's got rust issues, and we're going to address every one of them. From we got a hole we got to cut out of the cab and fix. I got to put partial floors in it, which, because it's getting a new cage, that's all going to get redone anyway. It's going to be flat floored, so it doesn't matter. To do a 25.5 cage, the floor has to come out anyway, so it's no big deal. But this will show you the average project car is going to have everything wrong with it that this has. My truck looked good before I primed the bed and started messing with it. This truck looked good at 50 feet. And going through town, it got a lot of thumbs up. But when you get closer than 50 feet or slower than 30 mile an hour, you start seeing all the things wrong with it. And it was old. It was a cheap throw together deal, when I did it. And it's been to a few car shows just for something to do. But I want to be able to take it and go hard park it now to show, and it actually look like it should be at a car show. So that's what I'm going to do with it. So you guys can watch along, and hopefully I'll teach you. There's so many videos out on YouTube about how to do this stuff. You don't need my knowledge to do this. Everybody has got a video on how to do body and paint. Some are better than others. Like I said, this guy in Texas, I wouldn't want him paint a skateboard of mine, let alone a car, especially a daily driver, you know. So it's like everything else. You sort the bad, the wheat from the chaff, as we call it. So I want to put out videos that if unless I just want to do a real shy $100 job, if that's what you want, that's fine. Those videos are out there. Show you how to do that. What I want to show you is how to do, mid-level decent work, where when it's done, it's going to look decent, 3 foot away, 5 foot away. You look at a car show, oh, it looks decent. And it's not going to last 6 months or a year. It's going to last 5 years, 10 years, I have paint out there now that's 20 years old. And it still looks just like the day I painted it. It's stuff I did in Florida. It has been out in the Florida weather, same color, same paint. I'll find a picture of a couple of them. I'll link them in the video at the end here. One's a little Nissan I did way back in, it's 15 years old because I did it in like 2010 or 09 or 10, somewhere in there. I can look up on my cloud because I have the photos of when I did it. And it was a Nissan hardbody. We did a 350 swap. I had to build the mounts. I had to build the headers because they're torsion bar front end, and there's nowhere to run a header on those. So I had to build fender well headers to fit a Nissan. Built the motor mounts, built the trans mount, built the exhaust, everything, and then painted it. And it was a Kirker paint, but it's a color they discontinued in base clear, and I'm kind of mad because it's called Sugar Plum Pearl Metallic, and it's a purple with a blue, a silver, and a gold flake pearl in it. And in the sun, it is friggin' cool. Pretty sure it's got SPI clear on it too, if I remember right. In fact, I know it does. But I shot that had to be 2010-ish. It was about the year the article in Chevy High Performance came out on me in the shop. So it had been about 2010. But it's been on there 16 years now. And I just saw photos of it the other day from a car show. It doesn't look any different, So, again, use decent stuff, do decent practices, prepping. Prep's 90% of a paint job. If you do good prep, use good material, you'll get a good finished product. And it'll last. And that's the important thing, because none of this shit's getting any cheaper. I mean, cheap 2K primer like that Summit, that shit used to be like $50 a gallon all day. That's like, I think I paid $150 for that just because I wanted some cheap 2K, because I'm going to epoxy over it before I put color to it. So that's basically just to get it blocked out and get it kind of sealed up so that I can see what I got. And then when the bodywork's all done, I'll epoxy it, then we'll put color to it, then we'll clear it. But even that, and I'm not saying it's junk. I mean, it's, for what I'm doing, it's perfect. It's going to be an underlayment. It'll adhere. It'll work. It'll be fine. I can put, whatever over it because it's 2K. It'll be great. So, my God, it sounds like Trump. It'll be great. It'll be the best. It'll be incredible. It'll be the best paint color ever. So, anyway, yeah. So, I'm going to get out of here. Probably, I got to move my table saw real quick. But I think I'm going to get this thing on its back. I really need to make some kind of little cart for it today so I can move it around. I think that's what I'll do. I'll build me a little cart. I don't have anything handy. Let me think. Well, anyway, I'll get this where I can move it around and then get it on its back so I can work on the bottom of it and see just how bad everything is and kind of clean it up a little bit. And then I'll go from there, whether or not I'm going to media blast it or I don't know. It really needs media blasted, but I don't know how much of a pain in the ass that's going to be. I really don't want to do the inside of the bed because the rhino liner is still decent and it's getting a bed cover anyways. So all I'm going to do is cut out for the fuel cell. So I don't know how much I really want to mess with the inside of it, but we'll see. But anyway, you'll see it from my video once I get the thing set up. So that's it for now. Kind of get you up to speed. 53 is backburnered. It needs more attention than I've got right now. This, I can putz a little bit at a time, and it won't take me that long to have this done. So, to me, this is a better use of my time, limited time right now anyway. Getting the S10 redone is a better use of what little time I got than working on the 53. So, would I rather have the 53 done? Yes, but this poor thing needs love. I mean, it just looks pitiful. So, and it needs to go faster. You know, they always do. So, that's what it is. That's where we're at. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll get this edited up tonight. If you're new here, like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff they tell you to do, or not. I don't care. I'm doing this just to kind of document what I do around here. If anybody learns from it, sweet, it's a bonus. If anybody enjoys it, extra bonus, you know. So that's what it is. Anyway, and beware, because if you've been following me, you've been watching the videos, you know what's coming. When we start on this bed, you're going to see it. And as soon as you do, you're going to know, he's got that thing out again. You'll see it coming. You'll know what it is. We'll see you guys. Today's Friday. Got a weekend coming up. I got stuff to do tonight with the wife. But tomorrow looks wide open. Sunday looks wide open. So we're going to get some work done over the weekend on this thing. So there'll be videos over the weekend. And yeah. Cool. Enjoy your day. We'll see you guys probably tomorrow. So till then, have a good day. So just a quick prologue, I guess I'd call it. I got my bed up on you can see it's like a Costco style table. And I threw it on a couple of dollies, which I had it sitting on before, but now, man, it rolls so easy. So, pro tip, you want something to work on a bed upside down, get you a 6-foot table, pair of little dollies, boom, done. So, yeah, you can really see upside down now that this thing's screwed. I'm so tempted to just cut the bottom out of it and build a new floor and just do the sides, attach trick like I did on my green 2nd gen I built a long time ago. It was a 10.5 radial truck. I actually built it for a friend of mine. I'm tempted to do it with this one because I don't know how much of this is actually usable. I may just cut this one apart, use the sides. Oh, who knows? I mean, look at that poor thing sitting there. I got that, and then I got those. I mean, yeah, we could just do the back half trick. That sounds interesting, huh? Maybe we'll back half it. I mean, I already got it teared apart anyway. It's got to get brake lines. It's got to get cleaned up. I mean, what's to say we just don't lop it and throw some frame rails at it? Get a 9-inch from Moser right down the road. My dies are flowing. Oh well. Anyway, we'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Have a good week and thingy. Toast. My brain.